So Nick, tell us, what's been the best moment since you've been elected rector?
The best moment since I've been elected rector was probably, oh gosh, I'd have to say the very first moment when I was greeted by the AMS executive and the SGPS as well as QTV who came in the Journal. But the person who actually put the robes on me was Morgan Campbell, the AMS president. She's a good friend of mine, as well was a mentor to me in first year and actually inspired me to get involved with student politics, including this position. So that moment there, even though it was absolutely surreal, was definitely one of the best moments. And then I would say probably just the warmth that I've been getting from different assemblies and councils on campus, attending AMS assembly, SGPS council, NSS council, all these different student groups, and having them, kind of be excited to have the rector back in play and working with them. Those have sort of been, I know that doesn't really answer the question, which is the one moment, but there have been so many moments over the last few weeks, so it's difficult to say like one thing that's happened.
That's understandable. It's an overwhelming feeling. Mm-hmm. So why did you decide to run for the position of rector?
Sure. All right. I'll try and keep this brief, but essentially it started back when I was in high school. I went to my first high school. I spent 4 years there, and it was just not a very good environment academically, as well as just, the faculty and the students really didn't seem to care about their education. So I didn't care about my education, and I sort of just did things outside of school. I got into some entrepreneurial activities, etc. But it wasn't until I switched to a new high school at the end of my grade 12 year, and I did what they call a victory lap. And in that year, I went to a new school where the students really cared a lot about their education, really driven, very ambitious. All were set on going to university or college, and the faculty there were just incredible. And I met one teacher, his name was Mr. Melnick, and he inspired me to care a lot about my education. And my plan that year was to get to Queen's. So once I finally accomplished that goal and I got to Queen's, I was just looking for ways to get back to the school. And it actually, through first semester, I couldn't find a place where I fit to get involved. I just did Queen's Model Parliament. That was the only thing that I knew of. And at a pre-social event, I met Morgan Campbell, who's now the AMS president. At the time, she was a student trustee, as well as Michael Chechi, who was the AMS president at the time. And I voiced some concerns about Frosh Week and my experience there. And they listened to me for about an hour and a half, and then told me to come to the office the next day and actually, get feedback and continue to voice my opinion. So I woke up the next morning thinking that was a terrible thing for me to do, but you know what? I'm going to go there anyways. So I went and I met with them later that day, and they spent a couple hours with me kind of facilitating the discussion and really listening to me and hearing me out. And that moment, I was inspired by their leadership as students and their willingness to listen to a student who had no title, no experience with anything, just really had opinions on my experience at Queen's, and they just wanted to help me better that experience, not only for myself, but for students to come after me. And the story goes on from there. After running in first year for rector, and then not getting it, but continuing to seek out the understanding and how the role can be effective, and then what just got me here now. But
well, it's great that you stuck it through. And how has your life changed in the past few weeks since election?
My Queen's experience has absolutely changed in its definition. What my normal day-to-day operations were have just completely shifted. I get up quite early, and I'm in the office from usually 9 a.m. until midnight or later. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly spent in this office, which has been interesting. I've been trying to bring warmth to the office. It's also been interesting having lots of people know who I am on campus. It's a little bit strange at times, but it's also good because I've had quite a few students approach me about different issues and concerns that they've had, and they knew that I was the rector. They might have, some people approached me on the street, and some people approached me in the Queen's Pub or in Cogro. So it's been like a strange feeling, and it's kind of overwhelming at times to have people, giving you kind of weird looks and then yelling your name across the street. But at the same time, there have been moments where I've had students, get some value out of it, and I've been able to help students just from that visibility, which I said in my last interview with QTV, is that I wanted to keep the campaign visibility up going into the first few weeks of my role. And from what I've heard from a couple different students, they thought I was still campaigning, which is kind of funny, but I think it's worked out well.
Okay, and can you clarify for all the students what exactly your duties are as rectors? Because I know a lot of people have had that question.
Yeah, for sure. So the way I see it, there are 3 parts to the role. The first part is the actual physical office and being an ombudsman for students. So being that waypoint to all the workings of the university and the different channels in which students can act change on the university level. So, I met with 2 students this morning for something called Project Chickpea, which is a mental health initiative to not only provide food and beverage to students, but also to raise money for mental health research and different services at Queen's. And I was able to help them find the channels in which they can do this and make things happen a lot quicker. So that's one part. The second part is a ceremonial role. So last week I was involved in 4 convocations, and I actually did a speech at each one, as well as I was able to congratulate students, which is a lot of fun to see people, just so happy. It's like that's their day, right? As well as I speak at the Welcome Forum and Remembrance Day and a couple of other ceremonial duties. And the third part is finally actually student advocacy. So I sit on the Board of Trustees with a vote on that, and I sit on 3 of the subcommittees right now, which gives me the opportunity to voice student opinion on different decisions and initiatives that the Board of Trustees is deciding on. And that body is the ultimate deciding body for this university, especially with finances, which, as we know, affect everything. As well as I'm an observer on Senate, and I sit on a few standing committees there. And then just in general, I have the ability to, or I guess I have the opportunity to meet with a lot of different administrators at lots of different events. And I try and schedule regular meetings with certain administrators to keep up to date with what they're doing, as well as provide student opinion on that. Mm-hmm. But anyways, that would be the third part, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And what do you hope to do with your new position and this newfound power that you have?
Well, one of the things I wanted to do, or that I want to do by the time I leave this term, is to reestablish the role as a very, a serious and influential role on campus. We had a not so great year last year, and there was, people can draw a lot of negativity from that. There's also some positives that it has brought a lot of awareness about the office on campus and outside of campus as well. And one of the things I want to do is, really reestablish it as, a very influential role on campus, and to have the candidates running in the election after mine to work twice as hard as I did, knowing that to be in this role, you really have to put in 150%. As well as I've got a couple different initiatives, and one of them was the traditions and events that happen at Queen's. As I said during the campaign, they're being stripped away without really much thought of replacing them or revitalizing them. And that's something that by the time I leave this office, I want to make sure that certain events like homecoming, the meaning and spirit behind that, having the alumni come back, having them enjoy their Queen's experience for one weekend again, and the football game and all that, those things are valuable. And I would like to see those revitalized by the time I leave, but not in the same way that we had them in most recent years, like on the Aberdeen street. As well as, with obviously recent events, I would like to see greater communication between the administration and the students, as well as, a greater sense of cooperation as we move forward with our quality of education. It was said in the Senate meeting today that by the principal actually that there definitely has been deterioration of our quality of education, and moving forward, it seems like there still may be a deterioration. And I think that as an amazing, incredible student body who's so engaged, like in and outside the classroom, and having like a strong administration and then bringing those together and collaborating. I think that's something that I want to help, I guess, what would you say, be a catalyst, I guess, for that, that initiative.
Well, that's great. And then can you tell me a little bit about what the Rector can do in regards to the Fine Arts program being cut for the upcoming year? Yeah,
so actually when the BFA program was suspended, so it hasn't actually been cut, it was the admissions for the 2011-2012 year have been suspended as of last Thursday night, and I was actually contacted by quite a few BFA students immediately, and the following AMS assembly I was actually mandated through a committee to participate in the suspension, like the investigation of this program suspension, as well as the future of the program. So what I've already started to do is to start talking to different administrators. I met with the principal and the provost on it. I met with the Dean of Arts and Science, and I'm meeting with the Dean of Arts and Science again tomorrow, as well as the Associate Dean. And hopefully I will get a chance to sit on the new committee that has been just struck up last week, which is a committee created by the Dean and the Associate Deans of Arts and Science to look into the future of the program and the alternatives, because they have gotten a lot of support from alumni and even professors across the country. And so essentially my hope right now is to sit on that committee as it's clear, like a lot of answers have come out in the last couple of days as to like what happened and kind of the future of it. But my hope is to sit on that committee as a connection between, like student government, as in the AMS Assembly, and the AMS Assembly, as I'm sitting on that committee right now, and this committee and the Faculty of Arts and Science when making decisions on the future of the program. As well as I have been, working alongside different DSC students for BFA, and just BFA students in general, just like giving them support and consultation and helping them with figuring out ways that they can, advocate for their program, and make the situation a little bit better and hopefully better in the long term.
Well, that's great. And on that note, that we'll end our interview here. Thank you so much for coming out and talking to us today. And we wish you best of luck with the year to come.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.